There we go. Now you can hear me? Can you hear me now? Show and sound. Yeah, I figured I could. My headset was turned off. How are you? Do I need to say hi to babies? Is my little man there waiting on me? Oh, man. I am getting ready for freezing ass cold weather. May or may not be snow involved. But Friday morning, it is not, or Friday, it is not supposed to get out of the teens. Saturday, it's not supposed to get out of the 20s. Sunday, it's not supposed to get out of the 30s. I'm hibernating for the next 3-4 days. Because I hate cold weather. Are you on here? Where is everybody? Oh, bite my ass. Nobody asked you. You just a damned old Yankee, Nina. I know, but you're fancy. I sat right there on the couch not an hour ago listening to your governor said that there will be plenty of power and it will not run out. And I was like, bullshit. So we shall see. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Actually, while this is starting, I'm going to read a poem here at the beginning of the book that she's got here. Let me get my music out. I got it ready. I just haven't started it yet. See why I decided to start it. Okay. I am yours and you are mine. As we lie spooning, I feel your breath on my neck, sending tingles down my spine. I am yours and you are mine. Your hand travels below my waist, forcing my legs apart. Your cock swelling against my lower spine. I am yours, you are mine. Your fingers circle my most intimate parts, and I moan, pushing back against you. My hips grind. I am yours, you are mine. Heat floods my body, warming my skin as you kiss my neck, sliding your fingers inside my sweet honey pot you find. I am yours, you are mine. I orgasm. You push me on my back, opening my legs. Inside me, you slide so divine. I am yours, you are mine. We move together in on rhythm and time. I am yours, you are mine. I shudder and come screaming your name. You bite my neck, growling, "You're mine." Yes, my darling, I am forever yours, and you forever mine. By Miss Mahogany, SilverRain. Prologue. Her heart and mind race as she speeds into the woods, the frosty night air like daggers piercing my lungs with each breath. Has she run far enough? No, she has to keep running. She needs to at least get to the cabin she spotted a few weeks ago. It is only 2 miles away, somewhere he can't find her. Tonight was the only time she could get away. He didn't lock her in for the night, and she took full advantage. She loved him once. It wasn't love, really, though she tried convincing herself that it was. Feeling like she is getting too old to have children, she rushed into marriage. However, he has gone too far, beating her and keeping her locked away at night. She had trusted him, believed he loved her, and cherished her. Now she feels like a fool. Her safe word during scene play means nothing to him. He didn't stop. He refused to stop, pushing her well past her limits of pain. Submitting to him had been fun before it slowly turned into a nightmare, one that he would not let her escape from. Keiko's body is riddled with bruises and swelling. She can feel her legs getting heavy, her left side throbbing from the kidney punch she received only this morning. The right eye, though healing, is not pain-free. Still, she continues to run until she spots the cabin a few feet away. She stops suddenly when she hears voices. A man and a woman are sitting outside the cabin in the backyard, a warm fire burning in a pit in front of them. Okay, pull yourself together, Keiko. They look like nice people. She takes a deep breath in and lets it out slowly before moving in their direction. She spots the man first, who is staring intently as she approaches. He smelled her long before she appears before him. She smells of fear and desperation, and she's human. Her dark brown, almond-shaped eyes seem to call to him, though she has not uttered a word. He is immediately captivated. Despite her disheveled appearance, she's quite beautiful to him. His eyes soften after he studies her intensely for a moment or two. He sees the look of pain and fear, but determination on her face moves him. He observes the bruises on her face and neck. A look of concern washes over his face as he moves cautiously toward her, feeling immediately protected. Whoever hurt her is going to pay with their life. Do you need some help, little one? He asked, his voice clear, strong, and full of compassion. No one has called her that since her grandfather when he was alive. She nods, moving unconsciously toward him. In front of him, she stops short. Keiko can see and hear his breath, his kind eyes glowing a neon blue in the moonlight. She wants to throw herself in his arms. However, she resists the urge, thinking it would be crazy to hug the stranger. It could be abusive too, though she doesn't sense that about him. In his presence, she no longer feels cold. He seems to generate some type of heat she feels all the way to her core. Her breathing changes and her lungs no longer feel pain with each inhale and exhale. Keiko's heart beats faster again, this time not fear. Her body throbs with excitement and arousal, making her panties wet. She questions her sanity for a moment, but can't deny her body's response to the fine man in front of her. She moves even closer to him, and he instinctively wraps his arms around her. His scent, a warm blend of earthy cardamom and coriander, sends tingles through her body. She relaxes in his warm embrace. Who is this man? Why does he feel like home? Chapter 1. Jerrold, Stealing Blue. He races up the snowy mountainside on his vintage 1951 Indian Chief fire engine red motorcycle. The freedom of the open road thrills him. Unlike most bikers that prefer Harleys, Jerrold Brothers, aka Steely Blue, prefers vintage Triumphs or Indian Chief motorcycles. Playfully known as Prez Blue to his wolfpack and club members. His hair is strawberry blonde, though he shaves his head bald and smooth. His neatly trimmed beard is reddish brown with spots of white and blonde. His baby blue eyes turn Arctic blue in his wolf form. Lightly tanned skin is beneath the blonde hair on his forearms. However, his chest bears patches of dark fur that make a line down the middle past his navel. It is the same dark fur as his wolf form. His black leather vest, which he wears over black and red plaid heavy lined jacket, proudly displays his Wolf's House club patch. His stonewashed bootcut blue jeans fit comfortably over his lean muscled legs. Blake Weasel Mason races up the mountain on his black Kawasaki Ninja 300 behind Jerrold. He is a young prospect and the submissive of Jerrold's old lady, Cassie, aka Queenie Claus, for 2 years. Try as he might, he can't beat the alpha in an out-and-out race, though he clearly has a better bike. However, he is not a mile behind him either. His listless short on the bottom, short on the bottom and long on the top, dirty blonde hair is smashed under his metallic black helmet. His ocean blue sea green eyes with flecks of apricot narrow as he concentrates intensely, determined to catch up. Blake looks up to the club president for the most part, but still can't resist the urge to try and one-up him every now and then. Jerrold has been a fatherly influence in Blake's life, and he respects that somewhat. Although Cassie is the main focus and influence in Blake's life, and no other woman will ever take her place as far as he is concerned. Jerrold is the alpha wolf of his pack of werewolves and the club president of Wolf's House MC, a brotherhood of werewolves, some born and some made or turned by a sacred bond. There are no humans in the MC, except for the occasional human women who hang around the club in the hopes of becoming an old lady of a club member and eventually a werewolf. Jerrold has not always been such a level-headed and strong leader. His tortured past led him down a dark road until he met his Luna, alpha female of the pack, his wife Cassie. He met her at a turning point in his life. They were a good match, it seemed, but they are both dominant, and dominance needs submissives for balance. However, Cassie already has hers in Blake. She is an unconventional first lady who challenges the club rules about an old lady having a second man in her bed. It drives Jerrold crazy, but he loves her, and she convinces him somewhat to be polyamorous. He set boundaries like no sex in their bedroom, and she can only have scenes with Blake when Jerrold says she can. She doesn't even consider Jerrold is a possessive man who truly desires a woman who only wants him. He's had 1 or 2 submissive women in his life, even a trans woman in the past, but never for very long. Not having an actual connection with any of them, the DS relationship ended, especially when one became very jealous of Cassie. For many bikers, it is not unusual to have more than one old lady, and in that respect, Jerrold is different. He needs and wants a baby girl submissive of his own, someone he can care for belonging only to him, someone who loves and serves only him. If she were human, he would offer her his bike to become his in every way, including becoming part of the pack. Many of the club women vie for the chance to serve the alpha as his submissive, but none ever come close enough for what he seeks. Pain sluts are great, but he wants no needs more than that. His little one needs to be intelligent and attractive, able to hold his attention both inside and outside of the bedroom. Inflicting pain is a great release for him, as it will be for his submissive, but it is also a primal urge, something he needs desperately. Pain is not all he wants to give. He has a big heart and a capacity to love. He wants something special, someone special, a submissive that needs him, a much deeper connection than he ever had before. The problem is finding it. There were a few who came close, but none had exactly what he wants, much less what he needs. Does such a person truly exist? He wonders. Jerrold makes his home just outside Golden Tip, Colorado, deep in the foothills. The cabin on Golden Tip Mountain, his second home, he built with his own two hands. He is quite proud of it, from the warm and cozy interior to the strong and sturdy outside that keeps out the cold in the winter and the heat of the summer. Colorado has always been his home. Though his childhood had been rough with abusive parents, he turned out pretty well. He has his run-ins with the law now and then. However, excuse me, my pillow's not sitting right. I'm sitting crooked. He always learned from his mistakes and works hard not to repeat them, or at least not get caught. Not always happy and sometimes complacent, he leads his close-knit pack of wolves with a firm hand and tough heart. Nina, you would be horrible as a baby girl. I hate to say this, but you would be horrible as a baby girl. You are too mouthy, sister. Not always happy and sometimes complacent, he leads his close-knit pack of wolves with a firm hand and tough love. In his younger days, he was more of a hellion. Though not a fan of school, he loved to read, and he often cut history class to sit and read in the library. His father was constantly called in to discuss his son's behavior and absences. Becoming a career criminal to make ends meet, he yearns for a more legitimate life for himself and his family. He made the DEA's most wanted list 10 years ago, and he went on the run, changing his name and getting a new social security card. The DEA eventually catches up to him, but could never make the charges stick. They found no witnesses and no evidence in the raid on his house. Tipped off by someone who worked in the DEA office in Denver, he moves everything out and leaves Colorado. When he is freed on a technicality, he settles back in Colorado 5 years ago. So, Jody, are you ready for your first white Christmas? It's kind of rare here in Georgia, but you guys might just get it over there. It's cold enough anyway. He loves working on cars, buses, bikes, any engine really. He breaks down the parts in his head and sees what needs to be done to fix or enhance whatever he's working on. He wants more than just a hustle for his family and his club of werewolves. Many of the members are runaways or other lost souls he encountered in life or in jail. His family comprises 2 beautiful grown daughters, Kate and Brianna, from his ex-wife in Boulder. He loves his daughters and will move heaven and earth for them. However, he is the last of the males in the brothers' bloodline. and neither he nor his brothers have a son to carry on the brother's name. He honestly believes it just isn't in the cards for him. I know you've never been in snow, but yeah, it's supposed to snow Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in this area. I know you guys are getting cold, but I don't know what your snow forecast is over there. However, so he accepts it, and as time goes by, he pushes it to the back of his mind, just like the hope of finding his baby girl submissive is slowly fading. Things have become rocky lately between himself and his wife, Cassie, especially where Blake is concerned. Jerrold accepts Blake, but sometimes jealousy will creep in because Blake is 21 years old, energetic, and sometimes bratty, and Jerrold is 39. Cassie is a beautiful, tawny, brown-skinned woman, 30 years old, with captivating onyx eyes and a charismatic smile. Standing only a little over 5 feet, with luxurious breasts and magnificent curves, she is a dominant force of nature and the only woman who can bring Blake to his knees. Blake lovingly refers to her as bun size to his 6'7" frame. He worships the ground she walks on and wants nothing more than to be hers for the rest of his life. Jerrold knows Blake makes Cassie happy, and her happiness means a lot to him. Therefore, Blake has become a part of the family. However, being a part of the club or the pack is another story. For Cassie's sake, he makes Blake a prospect, testing him, sending him on crazy errands, and giving him wild tasks. Blake, however, is undaunted and likes to poke the bear with Jerrold just to get a rise out of him. He respects Jerrold, wanting to be like him, and at other times wanting to take Jerrold's place with Cassie. Jerrold and Cassie even separated for a few months, with Jerrold only staying at his cabin. Blake moved in the house with Cassie trying to fill Jerrold's shoes, but he failed miserably. Eventually, Jerrold returns to the house, still in love with his queen, and they had only just begun repairing their marriage by staying the weekend in the mountains at his cabin. They are outside sitting around the fire pit when Jerrold smells someone in the woods. When she appears, his heart thumps heavily, drawn to her immediately. She was injured, beaten, with a look of fear in her beautiful ebony eyes. The fear in a submissive's eyes usually excites him. However, this one alarms him. He wants to rush to her and hold her, comfort her, and protect her. She looks young despite her shoulder-length salt and pepper dreadlocks that surround her lovely face, glowing softly in the moonlight. Perhaps she is in her late 20s, he surmises. Young people are always dyeing their hair different colors. Does that mean I'm young? He sniffs the air again. She's human. She's curvy, with a smaller waist and thick thighs. Her faded, dirty blue jeans fit her nicely, revealing the swell of her hips and her round bottom. Her medium-sized breasts move up and down with each breath she takes. The patches on her jacket look familiar. Narrowing his eyes, he reads, Cerberus MC, property of Charlie B. A low growl leaves his throat. She locks eyes with him, unable to look away. and his blue eyes soften as she heard him growl his growl. They move toward each other as if on instinct. The patches say, if her old man messed her up like this, he is going to fucking pay with his life. Jerrold swears, his wolf rising. Keiko stops just short of him, his glowing eyes causing hysteria inside her. It isn't just fear, but arousal too. Do you need some help, little one? Yes, cautiously sensing her fear. Keiko looks shocked at his words, but she nods. She is even more beautiful up close. Her beautiful reddish with golden undertones bronze skin is smooth, despite the bruises. Her lips look soft and inviting to him. She stares at him, reading his face, and then she smiles. Jerrold can't resist longer. He pulls her cold body into his arms and holds her gently. He wants to kiss her pain away, but doesn't want to frighten her even more. Though he is taller, her 5'7" stature means he does not have to bend down to kiss her. Her body, her body fits perfectly against him. Mine, he whispers in his mind. She is a stranger to him. You ain't right. This is Walker off of Yellowstone. She is a stranger to him, and yet she feels so familiar and right in his arms. She smells of light perspiration, warm vanilla, cardamom, and clove, and the sweet heat between her legs makes his conscience twitch in his jeans. Ringo, 30736. Is this her? Is this my baby girl? So many questions run through his mind, yet this, he feels is similar, but stronger than the one he felt with his queen when they met. Yes, she's mine, or at least she will be. After what seems like forever, he releases her and looks deeply into her eyes that shimmer like pools of darkness in the moonlight. What's your name, baby girl? Whispers. Keiko. She says softly. Keiko Reed. Sure. I'm literally technically this is my city. That's the Rock Spring is my mill city, and then this is technically how to find me. Alright. Chapter 2, Keiko. Keiko clasps her arms around Jerrold's waist, her head pressing against his chest. She doesn't want to pull away. Keiko, that's a beautiful name. Where's it from? Jerrold asks, pulling away to look at her face with a warm smile. Keiko feels his smile from the top of her head to the soles of her feet. She feels his warmth wrap around her like a heated blanket. It's from Japan. They stationed my dad in Okinawa when I was born. The family joke is the name belongs to his girlfriend there in Japan. She replies with a giggle. She can't seem to help him. So my mama's name is kind of weird, and I'll tell you guys off screen if you ever want to know, for those that don't already know, because it's also my first name. And the running joke in our family is that her name, she was named after my grandfather's girlfriend before he married my grandmother. She replies with a giggle. She can't seem to help it. This man makes her feel something so deeply, a feeling she's never experienced before. Jerrold chuckles. Nice to meet you, Keiko. I'm Jerrold Brothers, and this is my cabin. I'm the president of the Wolf House MC. My hag calls me Blue or Presley, but you can call me Sir for now. Yes, sir. Of course, she says awkwardly. He's definitely dominant, but how does he know I'm a submissive? Impressed that he senses she is submissive, she doesn't really mind calling him sir. She wants to call him daddy since he refers to her as little one, but they are not in a DS relationship, and doing so now would just be awkward. Though she feels a powerful urge to do so, she resists. Jerrold feels like home to her. She inexplicably feels safe, and since this cabin is hard to find unless you know where to look, she knows Charlie won't find her here. She found it by accident when she was exploring the woods a few weeks ago after giving one of Charlie's wolves the slip. Keiko's life has always been full of dominant men. Her father, stepfather, bosses, old lovers, and even some friends. Several of them have used and abused her. Her intellect intimidates most men, or they want to possess and control her for their own gain. Her father, Elliot Reed, is in law enforcement with the Denver police and is currently on a DEA task force. The same task force that hunted Jerrold 10 years ago. Elliot was not around much for Keiko's formative years. Her parents divorced when Keiko was barely a toddler. She met her father for the first time when she was 6 years old. Taken with him immediately, she cried for weeks after he left and never returned until her late 20s. Raised by her single mother, Brenda Reed, until she was 15 when her mother remarried a man named Sidney Chambers. Keiko has a visceral reaction to him at their initial meeting. She sensed his deception and fears she is in danger. She voices her feelings to her mother, who dismisses them. Sidney will never be good enough for her mother as far as Keiko is concerned, and he will never measure up to her father. Proving her right, Sidney destroys her innocence, taking her virginity and telling her that's what fathers do. He explains fathers are the first love in their daughter's life and that he is married to her mother and her. Her mother walks in on them once, seeing Keiko in tears and fighting back. Instead of protecting her daughter, she becomes angry at Keiko and jealous. Praying her mother will stop him, she tells her mother what her stepdad has been doing, expecting her mother will believe her now. Instead, she is met with disdain, envy, and spite each day after that. When she can no longer take it, she runs away to live with her mother's best friend for her last 2 years of high school. Elliot's work is dangerous, and when he is on undercover assignments, Keiko would not hear from him for months at a time. The waiting drives her crazy. When she becomes old enough to date at 16, she only dates boys in college or older. After high school graduation, she enlists in the U.S. Air Force, like her father did. After 4 years, she leaves military life and she enrolls in college with the GI Bill. Keiko earns a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Administration. While in college, she has to move back in with her mother until she can work and afford a place of her own. She is humiliated and fearful in having to go back. Her stepfather immediately begins to come to her room again each morning after her mother leaves for work. Though she is a young adult, the fear of him remains. This time she doesn't fight. Though she is a former soldier trained in hand-to-hand combat, she lays there frozen, reverting to her 15-year-old self, tears sliding down her cheeks from closed eyes. Disassociating from herself, she goes to a peaceful place in her mind until he finishes and leaves the room. Then, as if on autopilot, she would shower and start her day. This went on for several years. Keiko spoke to no one about it, fearful that she will be judged by friends, family, and co-workers. After all, her mother didn't believe her. Why would anyone else? Instead, she locks it away. It becomes an old wound that doesn't heal. She convinces herself it's better to just suck it up until she has enough money to move out. She becomes a police officer in South Central Texas, following in her father's footsteps. She also wants to escape her stepfather. She stays out late, sleeping at a friend's house just to avoid going home. Elliot prefers her to become a police officer in Denver with him, where he can control her career and help her excel. Though Keiko wants nothing more than his approval, she refuses his offer, wanting to do things on her own. However, as a punishment for rejecting his offer, he angrily cuts all communication with her a year, feeling Keiko is rejecting him. After 2 years on the police force, she works in the private sector for more money. She puts her business degree and skills to work for a security company that was founded in 1850 called Pinkerton Security. She excels quickly by becoming an office manager in less than a year, then making regional manager 3 years later. Having the money to move out, she stays to keep the peace with her mother, who becomes dependent on her to help financially after Sydney loses his job. One day, she finally snaps and she threatens her stepdad with a knife to his cock when he tries to enter her. Her message received, Sydney backs off. Instead, he avoids her and then picks fights with her over the most trivial of things. In her 30s, Keiko longs to get married and have children, and she isn't getting any younger. All she ever truly wants is a family, a normal family life, who will love her no matter what, and a husband who will protect and guide her. She dates older established men, mostly those in law enforcement, the fire department, paramedics, or the military. Anyone who is similar to her father. She longs to belong to someone, a man who is a strong alpha like the ones in her favorite books. She wants to have a powerful connection with someone. Being a part of the Keep community, finding a dom-sub relationship proves difficult. After meeting and going out with many dominants, she is disappointed. None keep her attention for long until she meets and dates Charles. Charlie B, aka Charles Barnett, is the most possessive and domineering man she has ever known. Charles is much older at 55 years old and Keiko is 36. He is in great shape and doesn't really look his age. He is also a retired Army major, now in a motorcycle club called the Cerberus MC. Charles is a bad boy dominant who is fun, and being around him in his element is exciting to her. He is a werewolf, which makes him seem more adventurous. The prospect of becoming one herself and being part of a pack is just too good to pass up. So when he proposes as the first and only man to ask, she says sure, why not? Marrying Charles, she believes, will allow her to have a better life with someone who loves her. Charles is kind and generous, giving Keiko whatever she wants. He does everything for her, opening doors for her, and even ordering her meals for her. He becomes involved with every aspect of her life, from her clothing and shoes to the way she wears her hair. I will ask a man's opinion on my hair, but in the end, oh, and this goes for little girls too, Lori. I'm going to do with my hair what I want to do with my hair. And sometimes I don't know till I touch my hair exactly what I'm going to do with it, as you guys very well know. Most women would take this as a red flag, but never truly having a relationship before, Keiko believes he is perfect and welcomes his guidance and instruction. She also believes women are supposed to be submissive to a man who can take control and lead. Keiko grew tired of being a boss, responsible for over 400 employees. She doesn't enjoy being in control all the time. Charles's control of her frees her from most of the stress in her life. Charles convinces her to quit her lucrative job and move in with him. He promises to always protect her and take care of her. He is loving and says all the right things. When she writes to her father about Charles, he agrees to see her and meet Charles. They fly to Denver to see her father. However, when she introduces him to Elliot, he does not approve of their relationship, saying Charles is too old for you. He is the same age as her father. Big Daddy is 4 years younger than my father, but only 1 year younger than my mother was. Elliot also refuses to attend the wedding, and his actions hurt Keiko. Keiko naively believes marrying Charles will free her from the prison that is her parents' home. However, she only jumps from the skillet to the frying pan as he controls every move she makes. His jealousy and insecurity start to show right after the wedding. Wanting the attention her father rarely gives her, she thinks she has found that in Charles. When the Cerberus MC moves to Colorado, he drags Keiko along without letting her say goodbye to her family and friends. What keeps her loyal are her vows and the belief that he loves her, even though she doesn't quite feel the same way about him. She figures love will come later in the marriage. However, once Charles realizes she doesn't really love him, he punishes her by locking her away in a room for a week and takes away her cell phone. Soon, there is not enough makeup, clothing, money, or shoes that are worth the bruises, pain, the fear, or the scars. Despite her abuse, she looks great, even without makeup. Keiko looks almost half her age. While she enjoys being spanked, she is more inclined to the sensual side of sadomasochism. Charles forces her to call him Daddy. It sickens her at first, triggering her to the dark times and memories of her stepfather. Daddy dominants are supposed to love and care for their baby girl or baby boy submissive. Spoil them, tease them, discipline them with love, giving them pleasure, guiding them, and being their protectors. Some things like guidance, being spoiled and protected, she never experienced with her father or her stepfather. Charles abuses her verbally, mentally, and then physically, wearing her down. His beast is more than she can handle. Even with her training, she is no match for his werewolf strength. He uses her youthful appearance, lending her to other members of the club as payment for whatever debt he owes. He pimps her out for extra money and takes all the money she earns, raping her each time she returns home, threatening that if she enjoys any man other than him, he will kill her. Keiko's self-worth and self-esteem plummet. She yearns for someone to love and to love her, but she couldn't even get her own father to say he loves her. How can anyone love her? Desperate, hungry for love, with low self-esteem, she feels weak and stupid for choosing Charles. Keiko finally has enough of him after a ruptured spleen and 2 surgeries on her neck and back. She could not take it anymore. She has a high tolerance for pain and heals fairly quickly each time. However, as her body ages, the abuse takes its toll and her back pain becomes chronic. He doesn't give her the sacred bite to turn her. Otherwise, she would not have the physical issues she has if she had been a werewolf like the other wives. Charles claims she has not earned the right to become a werewolf. He punishes her for not loving him. Yet he is desperate enough to keep her, hoping she would love him. Only then will he give her the sacred bite. She cannot trust anyone in the club, and everyone outside the club fears the Cerberus MC. They become the most dangerous MC in the West. Charles lets her get anything she wants. She orders different medicinal herbs for cooking and poisonous plants, just in case. Every once in a while, she musters the courage to knock him out with belladonna or lavender, giving her a few hours of peace. Now, Keiko is 40 years old with no children, no home, and no job. She left an illustrious career to become Charles's wife. She misses being the independent woman she was when they met, dating whomever she wanted, whenever she wanted. Yet, letting no one get close to her, hard. Well, tonight she is determined to leave Charles, who lies passed out drunk on the bed. He and the other members would party after the weekly meetings at the clubhouse. However, this time is different. Keiko gathers lavender, which grows wild in Colorado. She dries it and crushes it into a fine powder using a mortar and pestle. When the clubhouse is empty, she spikes the house whiskey and other liquors to put the members into a deep sleep. She worries it may be too much, but decides her survival is worth the risk. She could use wolfsbane. I was going to say, where's the wolfsbane? But that would poison and kill them with the right dosage. Exactly. However, she doesn't want to have their deaths on her conscience. Whatever. She also doesn't want to go to jail for murder. She got to prove it. She grabs her hidden backpack full of clothing, personal items, and herbs from the hole in back of the closet and stealthily makes her way out of the clubhouse, climbing over the 5-foot fence at the gate and runs into the woods. Undeterred by the cold, she runs until she spots the cabin. Then she walks right into the arms of a man who makes her heart beat faster, gives her butterflies in her stomach, and a sudden powerful urge to call him Daddy in response to his calling her Little One. He has the most beautiful blue eyes she has ever seen. She feels something so deep it terrifies, yet thrills her at the same time. She wonders if Jerrold is the alpha she has been searching for, but could never find. Jerrold stares at her for a moment longer before turning to introduce Keiko to his wife, Cassie. The women greet each other with smiles, and Keiko moves to hug her. Cassie is warm, and her dark eyes sparkle in the fire's light as she offers Keiko a seat by the fire pit. Keiko sits next to Cassie, and Jerrold sits next to Keiko. The couple makes her feel at home, and it isn't long before she feels sleepy, very sleepy. It is something she has not felt safe enough to do for quite some time. Jerrold takes her on a tour of the cabin and shows her to one of the guest rooms that has a private bathroom. Grateful, in pain, and very tired, Keiko hugs Jerrold tightly. She winces from the pain in her back. "I'm sorry, little one. I didn't mean to hurt you," Jerrold says softly. "You're not the one who hurt me," she whispers sadly. Jerrold responds with a kiss to her forehead and hugs her gently this time. Keiko pulls back slightly to look at his stunning blue eyes. Jerrold takes it as an invitation and kisses Keiko on the lips softly at first. When she doesn't protest, his kiss grows deeper. Keiko moves her hands up his back and he moves his hands down to rub her bottom, gently pulling her in closer. Keiko's the first to break the kiss. "Wait, what about your wife, sir?" she whispers. "What about her? She is just as excited to see you. She is just as excited as I am that you're here. We're polyamorous. She is a male submissive." "Oh, and do you have a submissive, sir?" Keiko asked nervously. "No, and I have just about given up on looking for my baby girl." "You're a submissive, right?" he asked with an arched eyebrow. "Yes, sir, I am. I have had a dominant, but I just escaped from him," Keiko says sadly, looking down in shame. Jerrold lifts her chin to see her face. "You're safe now, little one. I won't let anyone hurt you, ever. Do you understand me?" "Yes, sir, I do." Keiko smiles relief. I like being called little one. My grandfather used to call me that. Good, he replies. I want to get to know you. You are welcome to stay here. Would you like that? Keiko nods as her eyes fill with tears and slide down her face like raindrops. What's wrong, little one? Jerrold asks as he touches her shoulder gently. Nothing. I'm just relieved. She smiles as more tears glisten in her eyes, threatening to fall. There is something about him that calms her, makes her believe he will definitely protect her if she clings to him, not wanting to let him go. All right, Jerrold replies. He pats her shoulders and moves toward the door. If you need anything, we're just down the hall. Sir? Yes, little one. Would you stay with me until I fall asleep? Of course I will. Anything you need. Jerrold smiles and Keiko notices just how handsome he really is. She notices his dimples and his eyes begin to glow again. It's free on KU. Go get it. Thank you, she whispers as he sits on the bed and lies back. She follows and nestles in close, resting her head on his chest. He places his left arm. Run out of time. He places his left arm around her and kisses her forehead. Those forehead kisses melt something inside of her, and within a few moments, she is snoring softly on his chest. Her snoring sounds like a kitten purring. He laughs quietly at the image that flashes in his mind, a wolf with a small kitten, burrowed in its fur, fast asleep. He feels just as protective over Keiko, who looks so peaceful, lying on his chest. He kisses the top of her head, taking in her scent, but she doesn't move. She feels so good in his arms. His strong feelings in this moment worries him a bit, but he shrugs it off, not wanting to disturb her. He lay quietly before dozing off himself. All right, y'all, that gets you up to chapter 3. Miss Mahogany, when you watch this, thank you for letting me read it. I greatly appreciate it. I'm definitely going to finish this book because it sounds like a really good one. But I greatly appreciate it. So, all right. Now then, tomorrow is Hi, Reese. Hi, my sweet boy. He's got to see his name, Vincy. Tomorrow night, there we are. Tomorrow night is Mr. Bad News by Riley Ray. So y'all come back tomorrow. Thank you, Miss Jody. I was trying to pull up your weather, Jody, but I'm having a hard time here. Let me try this. This might work. Or not. There it goes. Here we go. All right, Miss Jody. It's 43 now. You guys got some a bit of rain coming through there. Let's see. All right, Miss Jody. Tomorrow, 47. Friday, the high is 25. 9 degrees is the low. So you think about snow for you guys. You might not get a white Christmas, baby girl. You might have to come see me. I'm looking looking you up as Cornelia. That way it doesn't give anything away. Friday 25, Saturday 29, Sunday 37. So may or may not get a white Christmas. Well, you got a 50% chance. Well, that's not. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you guys aren't getting much precipitation. You're just south enough. Yeah, I am a little bit more north. We're not supposed to get a lot of flurries more than anything. In the mountains, I get maybe an inch or so, but it's more north of the Tennessee River. I was thinking a lot of times it dips down over in the mountains and down towards Cornelia, and you guys get snow and I don't get snow, but Nancy, he is not a terror. I was looking. He is precious. All righty. This is my little man. He heard my voice, and so then he climbs on top of Vincy, and this is how she's happened to watch me read, because he's a 1-year-old terror. Who's in love with Nate? I love it. All right, everybody. Be back here tomorrow night. We got Mr. Bad News coming in tomorrow night. Mahogany, thank you again for letting me read. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Happy reading. Stay warm.